Hey guys, what's up? Excoundrel here, and today something a little bit different. We're going to be doing a Rules of Survival gameplay commentary where myself and a couple of friends, Sim and Mira, went into a 3-person squad game of Rules of Survival, and we found the car that has the gun mounted on the back of it. It's I call it the Mad Max car, but it is a car that has an M249 on the back of it. M249 is the LMG, so it has 100 bullets per clip, and also that allows it to have no drop-off damage. It's a very strong weapon in general, and now you can find it mounted to the back of the car. The problem is the car has got a very limited range of motion with where you can fire it, but if you've got a good driver and you get yourself in a good position, it can be a very valuable asset when rushing down into a circle and trying to establish a peak or a break point on top of a hill. So I'm going to go through the interesting bits of this video, mainly when we get kills or get stuck in engages, and I'll talk about what happened and how I sort of played around it. But we'll also go into 300% speed mode when I'm just doing the boring bits, and those boring bits involve things like just kind of walking towards the circle, trying to drive somewhere without meeting anybody, that kind of thing. So anything that's boring will kind of speed up, and we'll talk a little bit about the gameplay. Anything that's interesting, we'll talk a little bit about what happened and what we're going to do with it. So right here, you notice that I was shooting someone in the green fort area, didn't manage to get the kill, and a guy flanked me to the right-hand side. Now, I actually broke line of sight when I went down behind these tires. They might not look like breaking line of sight, but the hitboxes mean that you can't shoot bullets through them, and he was lying on the floor. I knew that my teammates were pretty close by, so I was just able to get behind those tires, and we ended up kind of saving my life. I see a guy right in the distance there. You might not be able to see him, but I could just see his silhouette in the very distance, and we know that there's at least one more squad member there because that guy went down. I killed another guy earlier. We assume this guy was the 4th squad member, which means there's one more member left alive in Green Fort, and now it's up to my team or me to just try and take him out. As soon as we take him out, that'll mean the rest of them end up dying. We can go loot them and get the loot and be on our way. You can see that I'm just shooting randomly to try and take out the guy on the floor. We see some shots coming from the northeast, and we basically pin him down. The rest of the squad go down as well, which means we get those kills and everything is dandy. That means we can go and start to loot. And this is where the boring part comes in, because all it is just looting, picking up some stuff. And we eventually go and find the Mad Max car. The Mad Max car is, like I said, the car with the LMG mounted on the back. The whole video, we have 2 Mad Max sort of, I guess, engages. And both of them are quite funny in their own right. I really enjoyed using the vehicle. We'll show you the first one. It was just the first time I've ever used this vehicle. You can see it over here. This is the first time that I ever ended up using this vehicle. I didn't really know how to use the LMG properly. I did make sure that my team let me use the LMG, though, because I wanted to do it for the video. And so we were just driving around looking for someone to kill. It just ended up that we ended up meeting another another squad on an LMG car, which just ended up being a bit of a meme. And you'll see what actually ends up happening with it, but it was good fun. I really enjoyed using this car. It was an interesting, I guess, addition to the game. And really, the main thing to note about this is it's just like the LMG. So it's hit scan, so where you point, it shoots. It doesn't have drop-off damage, so you can shoot it very long distances. However, the range of motion of the mounted vehicle is actually quite restrictive. You can see I can only go to about 45 degrees on either side of the vehicle, so we have to kind of rely on the driving of my driver to make sure that we are in position to start taking these guys out. So you can see here, they don't actually have a guy mounted on the back, which gives us obviously a massive advantage. It doesn't do enough damage really to take the car out easily, but what ends up happening is the guy jumps out and just knobs me off the top. He could have literally killed me, but I think he was going for the squad wipe. He ends up getting 2 of us, but Sim literally saves the day, as you can see. Now, in this situation, I've already gone down once, which means he needs to get me up first, because I'm going to die quicker to the zone and to Sim. Oh, sorry, to my own sort of being down. Mira's gone down for the first time, so she's got a bit more life to work with. So I had to ask Sim to get me up first. So if you're in this situation, you've already gone down, you will start to take more damage because you've already been down once. Whereas Mira, first down, she doesn't take as much damage on her first down, so she's in a perfectly fine position. So I had to get Sim to get me up first, otherwise I would have died. We actually come out on top of that fight somehow. Like, the guy did a really good jump, and obviously the problem being on the mounted gun is that, like you can see, you are static and your head's just poking at the top, so it's very easy to headshot you off this kind of thing. You have to be super careful about using it, obviously, so make sure whenever you try to use this particular vehicle and you're on the back, You are consistently moving. Never stop, because you are a sitting duck on the back of this vehicle if you're using the mounted LMG. You have to make sure that you're using it instead of a blitz tactic where you're just going for it and trying to shoot people as you go, making it very difficult for them to land the headshot on you. So, as you can see, I'm basically just fast-forwarding through this bit. This is essentially us running out of fuel in the Mad Max vehicle. Then we're basically running into the circle, and at this point we've got an extra distance to go, so we're just going to kind of run all the way to the new circle. We're trying to get towards the point that we know that it's going to be a water-based circle. You can kind of see that from the map. And we're actually now getting chased down by the circle. The circle's actually going to start to hit very hard at this point, so we just have to make sure that we essentially run for this. Doesn't really matter about fights, just have to try and do our best to avoid them as much as possible, avoid built-up areas, try and keep cover. The prime directive for our squad right now is to get into the circle out of the blue, or out of the green, I guess, on this game, and make sure that we set up for the next circle. So you can see we actually pop a couple of energy drinks to make ourselves run faster. If you didn't know that, energy drinks make you run faster. And then we get into the circle, end up refreshing, find another Mad Max vehicle literally right next to us, which means that we can have a bit more fun. Now, because the circle you can see down here is a beach/water circle, we were pretty convinced that we were going to need a boat. So you can see us driving down the beach. We drive pretty far down the beach, even outside of the current safe zone, just to see if we can find a boat, because boats obviously in a water circle give you the advantage of the fact that you're going to have that water area, and if it ends up being in the water, then you have the ability to shoot the people that can just helplessly swim around. I'm not sure if they fixed it to always land in the water, but at this point you can see that we think it's a pretty high likelihood that it's going to end up being in the water. But coming up, we decide that we can't find a boat. We're going to have to try and play this from the beach. And the best way to play a water circle, if you don't have a boat, is to get the beachhead and just hold the beachhead. Hope that you take out as many people as you can before they actually get to the water. And then essentially go as far as you can into the water without swimming and try and scope out into the distance looking for the boat. Hope that the circle comes towards you. If it doesn't, you're screwed, I guess. And then you've basically got to try and snipe the people off the boat if you can. That's the best way to play a water circle. We actually end up seeing people over here, you can see, in this oil refinery area, and this is where the Mad Max bit comes out, because you've got an LMG on the back that has got no drop-off damage. You can literally spam the weapon, and you are very, very high speed as well at the same time. And this is just really fun, because you can literally just plaster them full of bullets. And I ended up doing a huge amount of damage. Again, no drop-off damage means that even at range you can do some serious work. And somehow I end up surviving, even though obviously I'm going to be the main target. I did end up losing my level 3 helmet. Thank God I had the level 3 helmet, by the way, because I think I would have died and got knocked off if I hadn't. But we realised that there's probably enough of Mad Max vehicle time now at this point. And we're going to reset. We're actually going to go to the crate, pick up a ghillie suit as well, because there's a ghillie suit in it. I actually am lucky enough to find a level 3 helmet in there as well, which now allows us to essentially reset and start to work towards the circle. Now, like I said, we're going to do that beach tactic, which is going to be essentially trying to play from a perspective that we're going to have to hold the beach. So we're essentially going to move up the beachhead, trying to clear the beach as a unit, find anybody trying to hide around the beach area and take them out. Because at this point we don't have a boat, so we can't go into the water. So it's all about trying to clear as many people on the ground as possible. And you can see, I see some people kind of hovering over there at the edge of the circle. 2 people. I think one person might be down, but essentially trying to light them up. I knock someone down, and my team are now moving up for the flank. I knocked 2 people down there at the very end. I think that was the end of their squad. But my team ended up engaging with another set of people over there as well, because they were obviously fighting someone. You could see that they were hiding, trying to find cover over the edge of the ridge. And this is the point where I was like, okay, this is where we're essentially trying to kind of clear up the rest of the members on this team. Because remember, there's 10 people left, 3 of them are us. We're going to assume that 1 squad is in the water, because this is a very small area for 2 squads. And as soon as we clear up this next squad, it's basically us versus them. So I'm not sure if there's 1 person left over or not. There's some shots start coming through, which means there's at least 1 squad. Because at the moment you can see there's 9 people left. So if there's 4 people out in the water, which is what we're assuming, there's at least 4 people out in the water. Because we would assume we'd have been flanked by now if there was a team on the beach already. That means the 3 of us, so obviously 4 plus 3 is 7. So we're going to assume there's at least 2 people around the edge somewhere. And you can see we're just cleaning up the rest of the people on the edge of this hill. So I'm essentially firing down at this person. My team are flanking up towards the north of this ridge. We're going to try and pincer them in. So we pincer them in. Once they end up going down, that should leave us on the beach versus what we assume is going to be 1 team out in the water. Then it comes down to the RNG of the circle, which is kind of where beach circles end up going. If they're in the water already and they have a boat, and the circle goes out to the deep water, you're kind of screwed, right? You can't really beat a boat if you don't have a boat, on the other hand. Whereas if it's us, and we have a beach sort of circle that comes towards us and they're forced to drive towards the beach, then we have the advantage because we have 3 guns. They're in those fixed positions on the boat. They're easy to headshot, and we should end up taking the victory. So it's essentially going to come down to the RNG of the circle at this point. So you can see 6 left. So 2 people died there, so it's us and a squad of 3. Now, at this point, because the circle's getting very, very close, we're basically assuming that they are out at water, because they haven't flanked us on the beach. They haven't sort of taken us from another angle, coming down from the forest to the north. They must be out at water waiting for the circle to favour them. So essentially at this point, it's a 50-50 game. Does the circle come towards the water where we can still stand and shoot, or does the circle go out to the water where we have to swim? And you'll find out in a second, because it was pretty much kind of desperation at this point, and we find out that the circle actually goes out a little bit towards the water, but not far enough to the point where we can't stand up, because this is a very, very low beach. There's loads of standable water. You can see we're basically wading through very low, shallow water here. With only 50 meters to walk towards the south, the boat actually has to come quite a far sort of distance inland to get in the circle. So if we play this properly, and we get our eyes on the boat that comes towards us, we should be able to just literally headshot their entire boat. So you can see in the distance there, it's coming through. Everybody's in fixed positions. It's just easy spam bullets onto their boat. We should be able to take the victory pretty simply here, because unfortunately, they literally had to come towards the beach. And you can see, there we go. At the end, we got the win, because they unfortunately fell prey to the fact that the circle favoured us on the beach, which is kind of how water circles go at the end of the day. And we end up getting a 3-person squad victory versus the rest of the squads on the map, which is awesome. I had fun. That was a great game. I especially enjoyed the Mad Max stuff, because I just love being on the back of this mounted gun, just blasting people as we drive by. Didn't go right the first time, but the second time we managed to make it work for us to get a couple of kills on the edge of that power plant. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you soon.